Thank you again for doing this.
Oh, my pleasure, man.
Oh, likewise.
Good.
I talked to Sal a couple of years ago, and
Okay. How'd that go?
it was all right. You were supposed to be there too. You got sick, so it happened.
Was this around the movie?
No, it was like 2 years ago for one of the season premieres. It was like a week or two before.
Oh, I
Uh,
COVID. Yeah.
yeah, no, I remember being like, I have a feeling he just didn't feel like doing this, and that's fine. And then I listened to the next
Oh,
episode of the show, and you're like, I have COVID, guys.
yeah. We don't really bail on press because like if you bail on press, the other guys have to pick it up. So it's kind of like you don't be a dickhead, you know?
Yeah, no, that was cool. No, it was great. He was very excited. I'd written an article about how I thought the show was oddly important, even though it's literally the least important thing. Like because
Yeah.
it's so good when you're in a shitty mood. Like it's such a perfect like I want something on in the background. Oh look, there's guys who we're pretending are our friends. Like it works so well as a like mood cleanser and like a palate cleanser in life. So it's
Yeah, it's
oddly
cool.
important.
You don't have to pay attention either, right? Like
Yeah.
you could just like when something funny happens, you kind of look up and see. So it doesn't
And
ask too much.
Yeah, and also by that time you've seen every episode, and it's the only thing True used to play. So you're like, oh, I know the one. Like
Yeah,
you're almost
yeah.
participating at that point. But no, it's true, and he was great. And I mean, it is an interesting thing to talk about because you have the tour coming up, but also there's so many markers of you guys, right? There's the show actually happening, right? There's the first time you went on tour. There's the first time you play Radio City, where everyone likes that. Maybe not Walt, but that was about the only one who didn't seem to like the show. But the movie coming out, there's so many sort of markers. Do you have a chance to ever think about it? I know it's not the easiest thing in the world to be like, oh, look at my career, but like there are things that happen that are objectively like it's strange that happened. Like it shouldn't have happened in a good way.
Yeah, this you get that surreal feeling. Like it never really goes away. It never really goes away. You're just like every time weird things. But like you know what? The thing is, doing it as long as we have, like it's interesting because like God, we've been doing this for so long now, and like to turn around, like I don't know. I just know that we haven't
No.
lost that sense of gratitude that comes. Like it is still overwhelming. Like to be like, all right, so like last night I was at a charity thing for a FTNY thing, and this guy comes out to me. He's like 23 years old. He's fireman, new on the department, and he was like, "Oh my God!" He's like, "I grew up on you guys, and I can't believe I'm getting to meet you. And you got us through hard times, and oh, me and my friends are obsessed with the show, and it's just like it's hard in the face of that to
Yeah.
not feel uh blown away. Like that's really like now like a new season comes and you're like, all right, that's cool. I get to work with my friends again. And by that I mean the crew, like the crew and stuff like that. Um so it doesn't you don't get used to it, but it is the highs are usually like moments like that where people are just like, I can't believe what this show has meant to me because I've had things that mean. I mean, look at my room. Like I'm
Yeah.
surrounded by stuff that meant stuff to me. So I get it, man. So that's the craziest thing. Um,
No, I
that's the mind blowing part.
oh
Yeah.
yeah. Listen, I'm going to the Ghostbusters screening next week. I feel like you're going to probably the premiere. Like that's a thing you get to do because you want to.
Yeah,
It
I'm going Thursday. It's my birthday too, so I get to go Thursday.
Tomorrow's my birthday.
Yeah. Hey, happy birthday, man.
Yeah. 37.
All right, Stugans.
Exactly. No, it was just to get you to do it, even though that is actually the birthday. No, it's true. Like I have the same thing. Like doing this is objectively a cool thing for me because I've listened to TSD
Yeah, I
the
get
whole
it.
time.
Absolutely.
It's I think when you get to a certain level, whatever you're doing, right? If you can get to do the kind of things you're like, I wish I could do that, and it's not a huge ask, and you can do it, you've won, right? What does Sal want to do? He wants to go on the road and stay in a shitty hotel and do stand up, right? He can do
Yeah,
that now.
he
He's
sure
won.
can.
In his mind, he's won. Murr wanted to write books. Like you're able to kind of live the life you want, which is sort of the goal. And like people watching it get to have that sense of positivity. People come to the live shows not necessarily just for the show. I think they want to be around people who they feel like are them in a way.
Yeah, there's like a community aspect to it that I think people like. But I think like how old are you?
36 for one more day.
36, you'll be 37, right? So yeah, I mean, like, look, the thing about it is like Sal could have always gone and done stand-up, and
Yeah.
Murray could always have written a book. Like, I remember when I was in the fire department, like, I'm not happier now. I'm not more fulfilled now than I was in the fire department. Like, I loved being a fireman.
Yeah.
Like, It was the best. It was a lifestyle that I would have done for the rest of my life. So it's like I think a lesson to be learned should be like the weird shit that comes is like, okay, I get to go to the Ghostbusters premiere. Ghostbusters is my favorite movie of all time. I get to go to the premiere sequel. I get to see Bill Murray walk through the theater. I won't talk to him. Stuff like that is like, oh, that's cool, but like you can do the things you want to do. I hear what you're saying, but I think there's a secret to it on the other side of it, which is just like you could have done that stuff anyway.
Yeah.
Because you're doing it because you love it. Like Sal doesn't want to be in a Red Roof Inn in the middle of Wisconsin. He doesn't want to do that. He wants to do stand up and so it's like he's doing what he wants to do, but he always could have done it. I
Yeah.
think that there's some sort of lesson of that in there because it becomes because the idea is like, well, how well is he getting paid for it?
Yeah.
That's important, but once that's the barometer, I think you've kind of lost something a little bit.
Oh
If
yeah. No,
but
because
money is important, so
yeah. Well, I mean, no, I'm aware of taxes. No, you gotta there's so many ways you could have done it other ways, right? You know, the live shows could be done different ways that are probably even more profitable, but aren't your show in the same way. The movie probably could have happened years prior if you just went, man, whatever you guys want, we'll do, whatever. All right, whatever you say. There's something to like still doing it in a way that makes you happy. Because, like you said, at the end of the day, you're not necessarily happier, but you're able to find the fulfillment in what ultimately does become a job. Like it's a fun job, but there is still something about I'm going to spend hours rehearsing for the live show. I'm going to stand out in Union Square for 8 hours and seven and a
Yeah.
half. We're going to get mostly, oh, you're the guy. And you're like, oh, yeah, thanks. Ruined the bit.
Yeah, we got that. Yeah, it's kind of like there's not really any. It's like everything, man. Like there are days I get up to go to work with Impractical Jokers, and I'm like, I want to get out of bed, man. I don't want to go, or you're not in a good mood. You're not in a good mood. I used to go to the firehouse and be like, oh God, I don't want to get into this today. But once you get there and you're doing everything, like it's just so much fun. I don't know. I don't know. I don't even know what I'm trying to say.
Oh, it makes sense. It fits. I mean, listen, you have decades at this point of talking about it. Like you're not exactly hiding whether you've enjoyed like the fire department, being on the show, going on tour. Like there's a legitimacy to that. The thing I always thought about, and I think I talked to Sal a little bit about it, was do you ever really think that people don't give you guys enough credit as writers and just think that it's improv? Because there is so much. I think the live show is a great example. I haven't seen it, but I know what it is. Like there's so much writing to that. It's writing a show.
There's a lot of writing and crafting that goes into Practical Jokers that people don't realize. And there's no point in getting all that means is we made it look easy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, but there's so people when they come to set and they see how big the crew is and how much goes into it, like network executives, they'll come to set and they'll be like, we had no idea it was like this. It is a full-scale army it takes to make that show. And then at the end, it comes out looking like it's just a bunch of friends fucking around. And that's kind of the magic. But we got writers who've been with us for a decade now. And, we pitch ideas. Like we work for weeks with them before we even get in there. A ton of work goes into it. Yeah. But, whether people, it's hard to sit here and be like, yeah, we don't get the respect we deserve for that because like, people love us and people love the show. So to be like, oh, but they don't love that one specific thing would be a little, you know what I mean? But I hear what you're saying, but you come to some acceptance with it,
Oh yeah, where's Miami is like, guys, come on. No, there's something to it, but also I
The
think
only reason I would love us to be put up for an Emmy, and they ask us every year, and we're always like, no, not gonna win, no, we're never gonna win. Would be I think it would be funny if Impractical Jokers won an Emmy.
yeah,
That's the only part of it that appeals to me.
I mean
Really.
it would be hilarious, and also you would get crucified on Tell 'em Steve Dave. It would make it fantastic. Oh, okay, he's got an Emmy now. He can't. No,
Yeah. Yeah,
it's
I would bring it to the table and just put it on the table. Yeah.
just have get him hold it. That's his job. Just
Never.
periodically shine it. No, and I think the live shows are so story based that I imagine also there are times where you start to go, that's going to be a good story, which also, having an interesting life going out and doing these things leads to that. If you sat home and played with the cats all day, there's not as many stories, even though I'm sure Boris has stories.
Yeah, but nobody wants to hear those stories really.
Yeah.
Like that's what we've learned about Like you've seen it on Tell 'em Steve Dave. Like I'll tell a story about some crazy thing that happened to me with a celebrity, and I have 1,000 stories like that. But the second I tell one of those like kind of not relatable stories, people don't like it.
Yeah.
People don't like it. So it's like I've learned to just be like, people actually want to hear the cat stories more than they want to hear the crazy stories I have behind the scenes. And I'm like, all right, I like talking about cats, so that works for me.
No,
Yeah.
I've happens to me and I'm no one. Like the idea of like, oh, award season events where the publicist goes, do you want to come talk to Daniel Craig? You're like, yeah, I'll go talk to Bond. But
Of
like,
course I want to talk to
if
Bond.
I text my friends, they're like, fuck you. What are you? Oh, yeah. He wanted to talk to you. I'm like, no, I know he didn't, but that's the job. And we both pretended we were happy to
Yeah.
be here. And it was great. There's,
Yeah. Like you're talking to like a Bond, man. Like, but your friend, but you know what? It's your friend's jobs to kind of bust your balls a bit and keep you in check. So I get that too.
it's one, why aren't I there? You didn't invite me. I'm like, they don't let you bring like bumbling men to this thing. Like hot
Yeah.
women, sometimes you can bring with, but that's how it goes. But
Yeah.
I think longevity also, you find a barometer, right? Because you don't want to be super jaded and go, I don't give a shit about this, but you also don't want to like you do the cartoon tongue hanging out every time anything interesting happens. You want to sort of clock it as a story, and then sometimes it comes out in a way where you're like, something fucking good happened. I'll repurpose this.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just like, look, the truth of the story is like the Bond premiere that you were at, like, I'm sure you felt uncomfortable at times. I'm sure you felt in the way sometimes. I'm sure you were like, who am I supposed to talk to? Am I bothering? Like these experiences are just like every other experience. Is like, oh, they're kind of cool, but there was a lot about them that was a pain in the ass too.
Oh
And
yeah,
I think it's everything.
that's the key is knowing, and that's like award shows. Anytime I saw Sal at the Trainwreck premiere one year, anytime you see these people and you talk to them, I always like to be like, it's really stupid that we're here, and everyone just goes, "Yep, it's ridiculous. This is makes no sense," and it's better that way. Like anyone who's like, "I should be here," do you know who I am online? It's a problem. But I
People
think
like that, yeah, you kind of don't take seriously out of hand.
because you're like you've won, right? You've already won by getting to do what you want for a living. Like your rent is paid and you're reasonably happy, right? That is
Yeah,
really kind of what we're going at. There's a couple other things I'd like in life, but those are the main goals. And
yeah, healthy and happy is really all you give a shit about.
yeah, like, are my pets happy? I'm good. Like that, but to be able to then do something where you can broaden that, it makes no sense to not feel a sense of almost community. And I think that's what you guys, whether it's the live show, the cruise, the tours, like there's something about like, oh, they want to have us tell them we like them, which it's exhausting, but there's something about like the interaction.
I think for us, it's more like we have been fans of so many things in our life.
No.
So to be able to create that and to be the center of that, um, it's nice because like what will make people feel good about the interactions you have with them. I know what people love about Impractical Jokers because I have those things I love about other places. So it's just cool to be a part of it. You know what I mean? It's that community thing has been the most important thing for me to come out from Impractical Jokers or because it became a fandom, a very unlikely fandom, I think. Like a hidden camera show, we sold out the O2, we sold out Radio City, like Madison Square Garden, like that's unlikely stuff. So to be a part of that is really like kind of special, man. It's pretty dope. And
And
that's why like we love doing the live shows and that's because it's a chance to like it's hard to explain without sounding like crazy, but you're like you want to be, but you want to provide that and you want to be a part of that
yeah,
because it's really, really nice. Nobody comes up to us and is like, dude, I hate your show, or
yeah.
dude, you show ruined my life, or dude, like everybody only comes up to us, happy to see us and loving the show. And it's like that is such a gift, man. Like that's the biggest thing that it's hard to get across, like that constant outpouring of like
And,
um appreciation and love. It's something, man. It's really nice.
it's nimble enough that it can be a movie, it can be a live show, it can be a television, scripted thing, it can be a podcast, it can be all these things and still feel like the same thing, even though it's wildly different. I mean, nobody who saw the show and watched the movie thought they were watching the same thing. People who reviewed
No,
sort of were confused. I remember that. That was the only time I saw people
yeah.
go, "What is this?" Not me. I was one of the good reviews, but
Well, I was one of them. I was like, if it was up to me, that movie would have been a little bit more. Well, it's hard to say that. My initial thing was like, I want to do like a Jackass type
yeah,
episode, but bigger. And there was some disagreements as to whether that was the way we should go. Obviously, that's not the way we went. But the movie did phenomenally well. If it wasn't for COVID, man, we would have had a run. And Chris Henchy, who wrote and directed with us, has become such a dear friend, and I love the guy so much. And I loved working with him. It was such a pleasant experience making that movie that, you get to that thing where you're like, I don't know.
yeah,
I love the movie. I love the experience making it. So who knows? I don't know. I think it's because it's about us.
yeah.
Like it's really about the four of us. So whatever it is that, people sort of tend to dig if they like us. So it's a little bit more of
Oh yeah,
that.
that's why you guys got to do the spin-offs and things like that, and get to
Like, did you see Dinner Party that we did during the COVID?
party might be my favorite thing you guys did.
Dude, Dinner Party might be my favorite thing we've done. It was so much fun and so creative. Like to be in our own houses and to have the thing of we're surprising each other every week and it brought out a creativity in the four of us that I just loved, man. I love Dinner Party so much. I'm glad you like it. Like,
Because you could easily just lost your mind, right? We all kind of lost our mind. And so like having the ability to be like, well, if I was ever going to do it on camera, I can kind of lose my mind on camera while still having a sense of sanity. Because
yeah,
what are we going to do? We're going to think about, boy, we touch people a lot when we do these shows. This is going to be a problem. Like,
yeah,
think about that. Make this.
yeah, make this, man. Have some fun. And like honestly, like it rated almost as high as Impractical Jokers. And we wanted to keep making it. And the network was like, no, it's a pandemic show. We don't want to make pandemic shows. And I was like, yeah, but it's such a good show.
No,
Um,
kept it up. Yeah, I
yeah.
like Joker's Wild, but that's me.
Oh yeah, I love Joker's Wild too. I think we got a bad rap on that one.
Well,
Um,
it's funny, like we were talking about, like people want to see you, right? They want to see you guys do stuff. But then there is that, it's almost like the Kevin Smith like View Askew thing of like, he keeps making View Askew movies. Why can't he make something else? Here's something else. Where's Jay and Silent Bob? Why isn't that the thing that you made? Like, it's a very
yeah,
specific thing of like, please make the thing we want, but do a new one every time. And I mean, you guys have done a great job of figuring that out. Like, a couple of years ago, it hypothetically could have been the end, but the idea of like, we're going to find a way to make it work. And now you'll get things like John Mayer doing a full episode. And turns out he could be on the show. Like he's actually funny and good at this.
he's, he's so funny, man. And John was one of the guys who came in. David Cross was like this and wanted to be involved.
Yeah.
Brooke Shields was like that, wanted to be involved, and I think that shows. Not that the people who were like, "I'm coming and trusting you,"
Yeah.
didn't hit home runs because they did, but they were just different approaches. They were just different approaches. Yeah,
Oh yeah, it can work as a gig, but there's something about like, I already know what you're doing and I can just give you my reaction I would have given you if I was there on the side. Like him just doing the improv of the song, right? With the executives. You're like, this is something he's probably done just sitting in front of the TV watching the episode, right? Just riffing on it. You get that
yeah.
sense of, oh, he understands.
He
And
gets it, man. He was probably one of the first. He might have been the first celebrity that kind of gave us a pop on his. He's John Mayer. He's one of the most popular musicians in the world. He's got millions of followers, and he wrote a nice blog about us, and we got on his radar because I've been a John Mayer fan since the beginning, and
same.
you've heard people on I've caught shit for that over the years from like my friends listen to metal and shit like that. They're not tuning into. So of course, and I've always been like, no, man, this guy, I don't give like I think he's one of the best guitar players in the world. I love that guy. So to have him come in and be as funny as he was and so up for anything, dude. Some of these people will come in and they'll have. Actually, that's a bit unfair to say. Very few people came in and said there are things I won't do. Um, most of them were game for anything, but John was like, I'm on your show. whatever you want to do, do. And we went for it, and he just latched on. He's so funny, man, and talented. I do have a crush on that guy. I love that guy.
As you should. Listen, a girl having a crush on him in high school is the reason I got into his music. I was like, that seems like a good in. It wasn't, but I ended up with music, so it worked out. But I think, and then with the show coming up, obviously you've done Radio City before. Doesn't make it less special, but you've done it. It's not the same shit your
Yeah.
pants feeling. But is there a moment you remember from the various shows, just like something popping, or even I imagine something not popping is even more interesting, but like you don't really want to do it there. But there's something
Wait,
about
like falling flat on a stage?
I mean, just because it is so story based, right? You kind of know how the stories are going to go, but you never really know until you tell it, right? You have a sense of this is going to play well in a room, or I think people are going to like this. But is there just a most memorable moment?
Well, those things kind of come like because when we build the show, it's it's that's that high wire act of what gets a laugh. Why does this get a laugh if I say it this way? Why does it not laugh if I get so when you're on stage, like you can anticipate those highs because you know they're coming because by the time we get on stage, but then once we have the show locked in and we know what we're doing, like you can get up there and do it on autopilot, it's like I'm not even really listening to the guys' voices, I'm listening to the rhythms of the show. That's when you can start coming up with new tags and surprise it. Oh my God. There's nothing better than surprising than surprising the guys on stage with something new and then us cracking up. Um, that's my favorite part. And we've done that everywhere. That doesn't matter where we are. Like we'll do that anywhere. Like it'll like we mess around in Madison Square Garden. O2. You get to these places and it just once you're into the show, it's so familiar
Yeah.
that it's fun. It's fun to play around. That's the part I love the most.
100%. No, I listen, I hope it never ends since it's like I don't know, there's something about it, right? And it's for me, it might also be that like is the guy who was the one who sometimes talked on the podcast I liked, right? That's how it all began. And then it
Yeah.
began, he has a show. All right, let's watch it. Oh, it's good. Oh, he's talking on the podcast. Like you sort of you have all these ways that you start to become a fan of someone, right? And then most people end up moving on, right? Every year you grow up, you grow down. Like I have whatever happens, but the idea of like, no, these people have also like, one of them is married. There's these other things that are going on, but they still kind of provide the same sense of fun to you. I think there's a value in that it's hard to explain and it's hard to talk about, I'm sure, but there is this sense of like inexplicably we're doing good in the world, right? That I imagine is what can be the best thing on a bad day, right? Having a shitty day, but also like, oh, people like what I'm up to. There's something about that.
Yeah, of course. It's way better than people being like, I don't like what you're up to. You
Yeah.
know, I've done that. I've had that at reaction too. So it's like, yeah, it's way better.
Oh,
What
I mean,
about you?
it's as we wrap up, I think it says something that so many different people have also wanted to be involved. When you find out who likes the podcast, who went to the live show, who watches the show, when it turned out someone running for president maybe was going to be on the show. Like there's something about that idea of we have a reach that was I just wanted to get a check for playing with my friends, right? If somebody would pay me to do this, I was happy, and this is where we are.
And this is where we are. It's wild, man. It is. I think a lot of it comes with it's a chicken and the egg thing because a lot of it comes with longevity. We've
Yeah.
been around so long at this point. Like we started shooting this show in 2010. We went on the air in 2011. We really hit the road running in 2012. So let's say 12 years now. Um, that's a huge chunk of people's lives. And
Yeah.
I think that just comes with like how I feel about like Optimus Prime. You know what I mean? Is like how some people feel about us, where it's just like, oh, fuck, this is my childhood. This is my youth. And I love these things. And it's funny because like the show will end one day and then it'll go away. And then eventually some kid who was raised on the show will be like, oh, let's get them out. Let's pull them out of mothballs and do another. It's bound to happen. And it's funny because like it's funny to be the guys that people are gonna look at like, oh, they're little old men now. They're old. Look at how old they, you know what I mean? It's a fun journey, man. It really has been.
There will be a day where you're at a convention where somebody paid you to show up and with the cane, and it's like, oh, that one time when Joe used to eat a lot of food. He's been dead for 15 years, but he
That's it.
Like it's bound to happen. It's the
Bound to happen.
I mean, it's the way fandom works. Like look at Ghostbusters, like we were just talking about, right?
Yeah.
Ghostbusters, most popular thing on earth for a little bit, goes away because they can't figure out a third movie. They try a different one. There's the cartoon in the 90s, right? And then eventually, like, what if we just paid the old guys, get them back, have them do some of it? Oh, wait, everyone likes that? Make another
I mean,
one.
everything. Frasier, everything that comes back is that. It's cool. I like it. I like that sort of thing.
No, it's the same as like we have the same thing with like kind of buying our childhood again with like toys and shit like that. Like I could have just had it the first time and kept it, but there's something about getting it again and going, I remember why I like this.
Oh, well, the Omnibot back there, I couldn't have figured that when I was a kid. Now I got one. It's
Yeah.
great. Yeah,
Oh,
see,
I clocked the robot. I was like, ooh, face to the name. It's almost like a celebrity robot. But no, as we wrap up, I mean, there's something about like the robot you've been passing talk about becomes a point in a show, shows up in an interview. Like the cat that you picked up, right, becomes something people will talk to you about for the rest of your life, right? You got to be a character on a show.
that's wild.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy, man. I'm not complaining at all.
Nor should you. But no, I think it's a pleasure just to sort of talk about it, right? Because that's what people
Yeah.
want, right? They want to talk about it and almost in a way that's hard to explain because they can't go like my favorite bit. You're like, I was there. I get it. It's not the same as like, oh, my favorite part in Ghostbusters, right? You because that took a million people, but it really kind of was like, yeah, the guy gave a funny reaction to the thing I said. It was we were
Yeah,
all
it's about the guys. Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah, it's funny. It's weird because it is different from acting because it is like in a lot of ways my life.
yeah, like I didn't, if that guy wasn't confused by the way I looked at him, we wouldn't have had that bit. Like it all, what does that mean? Only starts because of like he's puzzled by me. Like
Yeah,
he's
I've
but
I've I've flabbergasted this man.
like like because that's I don't know. As someone with a weird sense of humor, there's something kind of fun about when you're like, I'm making someone just the right amount of uncomfortable, right? They're not offended by me, but they are like ready to see what happens. Hey, Boris.
Hey, Boris Cat, how you doing, baby? I'm doing an interview. Get out of here. You go to good early.
Listen, he's a celebrity in his own right now.
Get out of here.
He's trying to get a character on IJ like Benjamin.
And no, never happened. Get out of here. My shoulder watching.
As we just as we wrap up, so you get this other stuff. He's like, yeah, fuck you too. I did an interview with the dog from the movie that was up for the Oscar, Anatomy of a Fall, and I had my
Yeah, how'd that go?
my dog took me an hour to get him to sit with me, and then as soon as they're rolling, he went, "Can I go?" and bounced because he's like, "I'm 11. Fuck this. I'm not a celebrity."
What sort of questions did you ask him?
Who's a good boy? No, Trainer was there too. But like that dog could do amazing things. My dog looks at me and goes, "When you finish talking to this idiot, can we go outside?" Like that's the
Yeah,
way.
but he's doing what a dog's supposed to do. I agree with your dog.
Yeah, no, he's right. He's one. So as just last thing before we go, is there a favorite part of the live show as we kind of the live shows are coming up besides like getting to do things sort of more right? There's a bit of performance in the show, but like the live show is kind of stories from the road, right?
It's stories from the road. It's stories from my life. Like we tell funny story about Murray's wedding and stuff like that. It's yeah, it's I do not get sick of playing with my friends on stage. So like that's my favorite. So second we get out there, it's fun. You
Yeah.
know, it's fun. And if it's a great like it's hard to complain about these things that are just fun, you know what I mean? So yeah, it's just having a great time and the audience have a great time. We interact with the audience, we bring some people up on stage. Like every night feels like I don't want to say the first time you're up there, but every night feels like a good time up there.
No,
And what more do I need from life than that?
exactly. Well, money, but that's sort of taken care of. So you're set now. But no,
Also, they pay me to do it, so it's cool.
exactly. Works out great. Thank you so much for doing
Thanks, man. Thank you, bro. It's good to talk to you again.
legitimately a fun thing. I feel like I have to do this for you once.
I'm right there with you, baby.
And I can't wait for the next 12 years or so. I really want to get to the live show one day and just can't wait for the trial also. Just no one knows.
Oh, I can't wait. Yeah. We're going tonight. We're going to Red Bank, not Red Bank, Jesus, Airport Plaza tonight. We're doing the Overkill thing tonight. So
I
I'm
heard,
excited.
I heard the last episode. I interviewed Walt for his comic book, so I just have to get Brian, and then I got everyone.
You can collect us all and then get them.
Exactly. Oh, I had to email with him to set up the call with Walt, and that was
Exciting.
thank you so much for doing this,
Thanks,
man.
bud. Good to see you, bud.
Oh, my pleasure.